For anybody that is on the Zoom call or here, we are waiting for at least a third person so that we have a quorum to get this evening's meeting started. So if you could just bear with us while we wait on one of our other members.
Thank you. Things I need to make sure. It's a new one, so we're very fancy now. Turn it on. My high level work.
So we're expecting the gyms, but not, or we're not expecting the gyms, we're expecting
I don't
Suzanne.
know about Jim O,
Right.
Jim M isn't. I spoke to Suzanne to see if she was gonna come, so I just sent her a text, so let's hope that it's stopping her from being here.
All right.
Give it a few more minutes.
See-
Full
see-
professor.
See if she texted
I
me.
could get full 10-15 minutes for a full professor, so.
Yeah. This was my pen. On there, for still not up to this.
It has been a crazy. She's on her way.
All right, perfect. Like, what do I want to remain in public record forever?
Oh, and then I got this one. Yeah, I know. I got it, and then I got.
That was much
It's
worse
gone,
than-
no more
Right.
tsunami.
Okay.
I got like 2 calls
Other.
about it too.
That's like, okay, here's the problem, here's the problem.
Yeah.
Should get through it.
The number for.
Always something.
Yeah.
It just comes out right.
Yeah, but that's part of this. Yeah. Yeah.
That's me in the air. Oh, there's no more town council or anything? Oh, for us, I mean, for next year. Yeah, is there a meeting on the 19th?
No. So the last one of the year. So next week is the last.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Well, there's planning commission, but.
Yeah, I was on this out. That was, it's on a cassette calendar for tonight.
We normally do.
Was it fun? Was it fun?
Yeah.
Good, then you still need to tell me all of that.
Yeah, so. Part of,
Right,
part of.
and some of them are very developer. So I think that.
This.
Alan knows that. Yeah.
It's basically only up to.
You know, my friend is so many. It's sitting.
From where.
That's all.
Come on, Susie.
Oh, yeah.
New York last week, or I'm sorry, what week is this? Thanksgiving was last week? Yeah, so I was in New York last week, last week. And then Tahoe, went to Reno, with the family. And then, I'm doing my last trip of the year tomorrow, next week. And then, go to Hong Kong for a couple of days. It's like the big annual, like, at this point, I've kind of like done the whole APAC this season. I leave Monday, red eye, come back Thursday night. Two nights only. 2 nights only. Just becomes like I mean, actually, that short and long like that. Long, you have enough time to adjust and kind of like, but short, it's like you just tough it out. Don't truly change your clock, right? But the hardest is just like a ton of 5 days, 4 or 5 days. So like the second you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel like normal at the right time of day, and you're not like crashing it after. Then you just not gonna like fly back up. And you're like, then you're just crushing the other side. No, New York's like that. I don't get jet lag in the US, really. It's the Australia, I did for 5 days. I did Taiwan for 4 days. I did South Korea for 5 days. I did Singapore for 4 days. That's like Portugal for 3 days. That's the brutal ones.
She'll be here by 7:15, Barney.
7:15. All right.
Oh, professor. I think it's 15 minutes. I have to.
We went.
7:15, she said.
Oh,
She'll be here by 7:15. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just, you know.
You're
grateful to
just
be here.
chilling.
Yes.
You're just grateful for the meeting. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just glad that we don't, I'm glad we don't have a packed house and a whole bunch of people like. Good. 50 people waiting for their applications to.
But what Mike is thinking about, I don't know. It's a lot of. Okay, it's like New York Friday.
Is there anybody on the Zoom call? Is there anybody on the Zoom call?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well.
Yeah, well. Were your mics on? Did they hear that? Should I announce, let them know our estimated start time? Were your mics on? Did they hear the 15? Okay. Can you, yeah, is my mic alive? If I talk? Yeah. For those that are on the Zoom call, thank you for your patience. We're expecting our third member to be here at 7:15, which will give us the quorum and allow us to start the meeting. Thank you. You know what it always looks like, right? It's like a speaker. And that's the power button. Is it designed to? You know, sometimes I have like ice in a Yeti glass at the end of the evening after like whatever. And it's like in the morning, it's like frozen solid. Like, it's like pretty wild. Ah, there she is. Can we jump in? All right. That she gets. So let me go ahead and just get wrong. All right, we're gonna get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 5th, 2024 Design Review Board meeting. First up is roll call.
Board Member Rosner.
Here.
Board Member Kim. Here. Chair Chong.
Here.
And Board Member Ordusio and Malat are absent.
Thank you. And now for oral communications for anyone that wishes to address the Design Review Board for any items that are not on this evening's agenda. If you're here for any items not on the agenda, please come forward. And if you're on the Zoom call, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen to indicate that, and we'll let you into the room. Again, for items not on this evening's agenda.
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
All right, thank you.
Actually, I take that back. There's one hand that's raised.
All right, if you could, please, when you introduce yourself, give us your name, your address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
MDB1T, I'm gonna allow you to speak. It's just taking a second to connect.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, this is Michael Bokai from 240 Round Hill next door.
So this is is this for the something on tonight's application?
I believe so, yeah, for the 238.
Yeah, so right now we're just taking oral communications for anybody that wishes to address the design review board for items that are not on this evening's agenda. That item is on this evening's agenda, and there will be a public comment opportunity for you to speak at that time.
Okay, understood.
All right, thanks. Any other hands raised?
There are no other hands raised.
All right, thanks. With that, we go to staff briefing.
Just so you all know, this is our last meeting of the year. We won't be having another meeting until January. So I wish everyone a happy holiday and a good new year. We have quite a bit coming towards you or to you next year. We have a pretty full calendar coming up in January. So from that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Now we look for the adoption of the minutes from the November 21st Design Review Board meeting. Any comments on those?
I move to adopt them.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. With that, we adopt the minutes from November 21st and move to the one and only item on this evening's consent calendar, CC 142 Norman Way. Is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar? Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to take public comment.
Is there
for-
any public comment on this evening's consent calendar for 42 Norman Way? If you're on the Zoom call, please raise your hand.
I do see a hand raised.
All right.
Patricia, if you are still there, I'm gonna allow you to speak.
Very good. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm Patricia Rosenberg. As some of you know, I represent the McGuinns who live at 48 Norman Way. And with regard to the proposed fence, I wanted to just state our objection to the fence for all the reasons we had previously stated, but also for the aesthetic purposes, it is not in keeping with the area and the aesthetics of the community in which they reside, and will completely change the whole nature of how they have been enjoying their property.
All right. Thank you. Is there any other comments from anyone on 42 Norman Way?
I'm gonna give it a second to see if there are any additional hands raised. I see no more hands.
Thank you. So with that,
It's a motion to deny the appeal.
I mean, I think the motion we're
All
looking
you're
for
doing
is
is
to
to
approve the
Approve the
item.
consent. We've
approve
already
the
done the
consent.
action from before. So all you're doing right now is to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a
I
motion?
move to accept, to adopt the consent calendar agenda item.
And is there a second?
I guess a second.
I would think we just need you to clearly state that you would be seconding.
Yeah, I second, but I have questions on the adoption because I think
We've already approved it, so it's just a formality.
What you're doing is, we provided you with a resolution. You are adopting the calendar, the consent calendar with that resolution. It's not to approve or deny a project at this point in time. It's to look at what we've provided to you as the adopting resolution.
Based on a previous.
And if you have issues with that, or you wish to make corrections or changes or adopt it as is, that's what we're asking for tonight.
Okay, I second.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain since I wasn't at that meeting. With that, the consent calendar does get adopted with a majority, and we move to the public hearings portion of our meeting. The first item is PH 1, 238 Round Hill Road. The format for this evening, as it always is, we'll have the applicant will have 20 minutes to present. At which point we might have some questions, but we will open it up to the public and provide the public opportunity to make any comments they want. Each member of the public will have up to 3 minutes to make comments. And after that's complete, we will give the applicant an additional 5 minutes to address any of the concerns that were raised.
You can make it up one little notch.
And with that,
Yeah.
whenever the applicant's ready.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Well, a little harder to see print these days. Hello, this is my name is Cedric Berenger, Berenger Architecture. I'm the architect for Keith and Chloe Healy in this project. Thank you guys to the board for hearing us out on this redesign, which you all heard on November 7th, the last time. So since then, I feel like we've made some significant changes to address the really the two concerns that we heard from the board and from the neighbors at 240. Primarily addressed the massing on the north side of the house and the view concerns from the neighbors at 240, which is to the left of this image. So we'll just start with the floor plan. So lower floor plan. Sure. Really the only change here, so these site walls were previously existing. This is the fountain. We just bumped out the laundry room and did some reconfiguration here. Really, this is the only addition here. It results in about 125 square feet in here. This area in the front remains as it was previously designed. Next slide. So upper floor plan, this is where this whole bedroom mass to address the kind of massing and view concerns from all of the members and neighbors that we heard from. The previous wall was about here, and so we are now stacking this exterior wall above the wall, the existing wall below. Although that lower wall is still getting pulled forward, but it's at the location visually of the existing wall of this mass. That's pulling it back 5 foot, about 5'3". One of the reasons we limited it to that is it's as far back as we can go to still get kind of a circulation, a 3'6" hallway through here, and then this whole bedroom just gets pulled out and now has French doors out. So there's some pool access up here. Really this whole, we had looked at maybe just doing the second floor move, and this obviously would count towards lot coverage, additional lot coverage. And looking at that lower floor, we said, well, this, instead of having a bridge area, let's really get a great laundry room downstairs, and it all counts the same way towards lot coverage. The other move we made on the north side here, this is the Bocais at 240 Round Hill, in addressing the massing of this wall. We bumped out a dormer in this bathroom, so there's no windows anymore facing north. The only windows are to the east and west, so eliminating any any additional light from the bathroom going towards the Bocais. There are still casement windows in the bedrooms here and here. Otherwise, everything else. Oh, look, was that me that changed that? Amazing. So her roof plan really didn't change other than just covering this, obviously the new mast in the back with roof. Here you'll see the story pole changes. So these in the images that I showed last on November 7th, and which I used the same images tonight. These are the existing story poles that are now just single story, and then the additional story poles are back that 5'3" to maintain the neighbor's view here. So this is the north facade. So really just kind of showing this. There are two materials here. So this is kind of that mid-gray stucco, and then this is kind of a brownish gray wood siding. So, but I do think this move really breaks up this massing. This move really breaks up the massing. The dashed line here shows the previous proposal, and then I think also the addition of this sliding door into what's now the new laundry room just kind of breaks up this whole this northern facade, which isn't terribly visible anyway, but that's all right. We're working on addressing the items we were asked to address. So front facade, this is now pushed back, I should say, too, on the upper floor plan to match up the windows with the windows below. We did opt to do this is about a 7-foot roof here. We did opt to do half of that as a small roof deck. Really at a 3'6" width, it's not really a deck that is going to get a lot of hanging out. It really was more in this elevation visual to get these two windows to match. So it's going to allow these to go down to the floor, and we just thought it just had a nice look to it. This is the new rendering that we tried to select a view that was going to really accent the new changes here. I'll get to the site plan later. There's a new site stair, because one of the owners, one of the dislikes of pushing all the way back here is that it blocks the kind of the circulation around the whole house. So we still wanted to maintain an access point for gardeners and circulation for kids and whatnot. But you see the bathroom window here in this new bay. All the other materials are identical. So this is a redo of one of the main renderings that I had shown last time. Really, the only change is this, which was previously, this is a 4-foot overhang. So previously this wall was about here. So I think it makes a real positive impact. So here, this is the breakup of this massing from kind of a semi-aerial view. Really just the other renderings. The timeline was tight enough that we chose this rendering was not updated, but we kind of focused on the ones that had the most impact. So for the neighbors at 240, we wanted to kind of do a before and after, just since this was the view concern. This again is the primary deck off of the primary living space at the Bocai residence at 240 Round Hill. The neighbors to the north. You can see the story poles. There had been a story pole put up that is now. I recognize. I apologize. I think this story. I based this rendering or this sketch off of that story pole. I think it is a little short, but point being the change goes from that as far as what you're seeing, even if this is a little bit higher, it's a what we would consider a big change. This is the threshold of the door to the deck. We have obviously lovely view here. This is the previous condition, and now we're practically out of view, and that's and those are the primary living spaces. Obviously, the key element of the design guidelines, hillside design guidelines of primary living spaces being the main sources of view retention. I feel like we're doing that pretty well. Even so, it was debated last time whether the master bedroom deck was a primary living space or not. Regardless of that, I think I argued that it was not, but this massing was a point of discussion. So that's where we are now.
Master, that's third.
This is the Bokai's master bedroom deck. So just to we've gone from there to here. Can we zoom in on this, or maybe Sam, if you could just zoom in on that area of the building. I think there had been some concerns of view blockage previously of the city, and if you look at the behind the grayed out mass there is really just trees. There's actually at the lower level here is another house. So I think in making this move, it's not just a small move. I think it's a significant move out of their view. This is the approximate location of that bedroom window. And this is the approximate location of that bay. So, and again, these trees that have just been trimmed. So, I feel, sorry, we'll zoom back out. Okay, so again, materials really haven't changed. The siding, I think in the renderings is actually a little bit light. So I think as you consider the impact of this with even a darker siding than in the renderings, I think it really will make a big difference. Of course, changes the numbers a little bit. We're now at 4399 FAR, which is an increase of 318 over what we showed before, but still under the allowable of 4532. Lot coverage, we were previously right at the 3798 allowed, I think a couple square feet under that. And we're now requesting a variance for excess lot coverage of 15.5%, where 15 is allowed. And it's really all in this space. That was, we feel that the move was for the neighbor's benefit, and we hope that you can make the findings for that. As the site plan, really the only changes are, this is a short 2-foot high site wall just to give us a flat DG path here coming out of this upper bedroom, and then just a site stair coming down. That'll be an at-grade site stair. No changes to the fencing, and again, no changes to the request for a little excess roof coverage on the ADU. The other elevations really just showing the impact of where we were and where we are now. Not a whole lot changing in here, other than this is now coming towards the rear and sitting on this wall. A little bit tricky to draw that one. I wasn't quite sure how to show that properly. So sections, again, we're showing how we're coming back. To clarify, we have 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, and 10-foot ceilings on the second floor. So that was we're obviously working with the same floor plate in the same plate height at the first floor. So we're just keeping that same plate height. Not a whole lot new here. Landscaping really just in the area of this bump out. Removed some of the white lavender and just did a little reconfiguration on the lavender that previously went along this whole wall. Chair Chong, I know you weren't here on November 7th. We added some podocarpus or pittosporum rather along this fence line to help screening of the deck. Lighting, really no changes other than the code required. There would have to be a light outside this upper bedroom. You have to have a light at a door. Likewise here, and then just at grade or built into the staircase. We are on the upper floor deck. We are not proposing these, and we're not proposing any lighting under the eaves as just a measure to keep down on light pollution in respect to the neighbors. So really the only light in view of the neighbors at 240 is that code required light, which I don't think is going to be on all that much. So, and that is it. Well, happy to take your questions.
Any question for the applicant before we open it up to the public? All right, with that, we will open it up to the public. If there's anyone here that wishes to speak about this application, please come forward. Actually, Cedric, if we could ask you to grab a seat, and if you could come up into the microphone and just state your name and address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
My name is Charlie Etamad. I'm Heritage and Arts Commission. My house is opposite this house, completely opposite side. I have no qualms, no problem with their changing or adding to their house. My problem is the traffic. That part of Round Hill is quite narrow and it's a downhill. And if they could have some kind of a shuttling for their workers so that all don't come with their huge trucks and trying to park in that part of that street. It's a short street, but it gets really very uncomfortable to come and go, but they take all the available spaces for visiting cars. I have caretaker and I have housekeeper. I really want to make sure that I have 2 parking spots in front of my house to be left for us, for my workers to park. And please keep that in mind that if they park on the other side of the road, right behind my driveway, it's very hard for me to get out of my driveway. It's always blocked. Even now, I constantly have to write notes and put on their windows that please do not park behind our where I can't even get out of my own garage very easily. So that is my only request
Okay.
is about.
All right, thank you. I'll just also as you're taking your seat, I will say that we are the design review board, and stuff like parking and construction falls into the building department. And so I would encourage you just to talk to them about if there is any issues or something like that with construction. They would be the ones to monitor and manage that. And then see no one else in the room that would bid. If we go to the Zoom call, please, if you would like to speak on this project, I know we had someone earlier that had raised their hand. Just use the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen and we'll let you into the call.
I'm gonna allow Michael to speak. It'll take just a second to connect.
And again, if you could just state your name and address, please, and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yeah, this is Michael Bokai from 240 Round Hill next door. I think you all heard our issues at the previous meeting on November 7th. I was appreciative of the panel and that they acknowledged that the mass of the construction had some issues with it. I appreciate the work that's been done in making it better. I'm not sure that we're completely there though. To me, it seems a little bit rushed. You know, we had that meeting. We're less than a month after that. I'm not sure if the proper timeline was observed in submitting drawings and putting up the poles. I myself haven't had a chance to really digest it. It's for you all to decide whether that was done properly or not. But again, I think looking at that sheet A 2.2 is the right place. If you look at the big picture of what's happened, again, there was a 5-foot pullback. We like that. But on the other side, there was 10 foot that was extended into the yard. So it is quite a large structure there that we're looking at. In addition to that, there was a balcony added in the front, which wasn't there before. The 3 issues always being views, privacy, and massing. You know, it doesn't feel good to all of a sudden have now a balcony to be looking up at. Again, I think the changes were in the right direction. If we could just go a little bit more, I think we can reach a compromise. Again, I'm doing this on the fly, but as an example, if you look at that top view, you can see where the floor plan extends on the master bedroom side. If that bedroom 3 was in line with that, I think the difference is maybe 2 or 3 feet. That would, I think, pull it back sufficiently where the privacy issues and massing from our perspective would be benefited significantly, and that we're not looking at this big structure off our master bedroom balcony and the other room that we have above. And losing the balcony as well. You know, again, this was introduced as an addition. To me, it seems doable. You know, there was a lot of square footage that was gained in this redesign. If we could just cut that back a little bit, you can still have more than you had in your original design, you know, and make us happy as well. So again, 18 seconds left. If we can just pull that bedroom 3 to be in line with the master bedroom, lose the balcony, I would say we're just about there. But thank you all for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any additional comments from anybody on the Zoom call?
I see no other hands raised.
Okay. With that, we'll give the applicant the opportunity to come back up. You have 5 minutes to address any of the concerns.
Sam, if you could just go to the first page of, and then if am I driving again?
No, you're not. Sorry, so did you do the very first sheet or a?
I guess the page 2, we could just start there. Okay, I do recognize that the timeline was tight. We were really hoping to get this approved by the DRB this year, and we basically had a week to make all the design changes and resubmit everything. So to clarify, we did meet the timelines that were laid out by the planning department. We also did try our best to have a dialogue and have after the story polls were up. I recognize again that it's a tight timeline, but there was no response really from the neighbors to have a dialogue. If there are privacy concerns, I mean, I've certainly seen in my time on this board, there are shifts that can be made to address privacy concerns. If shifting those north facing windows to transoms or doing obscure glass is something that that this board feels would resolve those issues. We would certainly be open to that as conditions of approval. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the next. I don't seem to be able to. Oh, there we go. I guess just for context, I feel like the moves that we made are, it should be considered as to what's fairly allowed under the development rules of Tiburon. This corner, everything here is within the allowable setbacks. This deck is the front yard setback, the variance here. But like this corner, which is the corner that the Bocais are requesting we push farther back, is 18'7" from the setback. So I think so it's 48'7" from the property line. So I do think one needs to look at like what's fairly allowed to be developed on when an owner buys a property and understands the zoning rules. I think one should look at like, okay, well, what is fairly allowed? I feel like the changes we made addressed the primary concerns that this board asked us to make. I don't think there's any view concern. We did our best to reduce all lighting, and yes, there is a little bit more square footage, but there was a logical move to go back to these walls that were existing, and avoid further foundation work. I'll just point out that every move that we made was for the neighbors and per request of this board, and are going to be only additive to the budget of this project. So, I think we did everything that was requested by this board. So I hope you'll agree, and thank you very much for your time. Happy holidays.
Cedric, you do have 2 more minutes. The timer was wrong. So if you do have anything else you want to say, you still have.
No, I think that's about where I guess I'll just respond to Chalet, who spoke earlier, that we'll certainly work. It is a tight street, and we recognize the other neighbor across the street next to Chalet is expressed some of the same concerns, and it certainly is a tight street, and we will be sure to work with the neighbors and have the contractor do a pre-construction meeting with the neighbors and really kind of work on shuttling at a certain point and kind of limit the number of cars that are parked on the street in front of the house. So thank you very much, and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. And any questions for the applicant?
I just want to confirm that the east face is at the same line as existing property line on the second floor.
That
wall right there.
It stacks on top of the existing exterior wall of that bedroom. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we close to the public? All right. Thank you. With that, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Just a quick question for staff, just to confirm that the submission, the story polls, and the noticing to the public was all done in compliance with,
Yes, the story poles are required to be installed at least 10 days before the meeting, and they were installed, I want to say, on the November 25th. So they met that deadline. We sent notifications to the neighbors, properties within 300 feet of the subject property on November 20th. So, and there was a notice in the ARC. So all noticing requirements were met, story polls, plans were submitted by all required deadlines.
all right, thank you. All right, would anybody like to lead us off?
I think they heard us in moving that one piece back, and that was a significant move. The one, I guess, two things to bring up is the window, the bedroom window. I wanted it to be kind of, yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily needing it to be obscured glass, but having it above, sort of just having it as a light well rather than that light well, but you know, I can't even talk right now, sorry. It's been a long day. Having it as a transom above, maybe nice to prevent views from here to the other deck. And I do think this new deck, it's not going to be a party deck. I mean, you're gonna be out there for 2 seconds. You're like, oh, nice view, and then you're gonna leave. The majority of the time is gonna be spent probably on the bottom floor or on the other side. 9 foot versus 10 feet. So that's unusual. Usually it's the bottom floor, the ground floor. That's usually a higher. So I'd like consideration of a 9 foot just to match the bottom. That might help a little bit, but it's a gesture. So that's where I stand. I think I can see it. I can make the findings. And now that they're asking for the lot coverage variance as well, I can make that finding as well, because we did ask for that sort of concession, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start just to get over with the variances, we can make the findings. Especially given, I think a lot of the lot coverage comes from that deck, which we already made the findings as it, needing for the outdoor space, given the slope. I was, you weren't, I don't think you were at the last meeting. I was in favor of the previous, application as is. I understand when you walk in the middle out of that second, the master bedroom patio, and you look towards the house, you see the structure, and we all acknowledge that. I think a lot of these changes, they were goodwill, and they made it better for the neighbor, but it wasn't an obvious alternative to completely obscure the massing. This is the project, and I think that is in the follows the hillside guidelines, and I think these, this is just the impact of the development, and I think that it's all within kind of our guidelines. So I wouldn't, again, I think it's like when you're talking about this window and talking about the 9 foot versus 10 foot, I don't think it's going to make a material difference to the neighbor when, that there's an impact when you walk into the middle of that patio, and you're going to see it. And I think starting to adjust there, I'm not sure it's going to change that. And I don't, so that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's, sometimes, especially when we talk about view blockage, like, hey, if you bring it down a foot, like that's where you can get a lot of bang for your buck, I think, when we're talking about some of these views and angles, and, it depends if you're, 6'1" versus 5'4", and then lowering even 6 inches can make a difference. I don't think that's the case here. So I'm not sure that I would condition, to shorten the structure, because I don't think, I think you're going to still have the same, impact, which I think in my mind is acceptable given the options for the applicant on where to develop this property. So
What about the transom window? I mean, I think they're in favor of it. even the applicant will do it, so I mean, if it's gonna prevent somebody from staring into somebody else's space.
Yeah, so I'll weigh in. So I was here for the first meeting. I did watch the video of the second meeting just to kind of see some of the concerns and discussions. I would have to say that, at least it's kind of like your points, like if we look at privacy as a thing, right? It's we always see it, or at least it comes to us as like this one-sided thing, and it's always an applicant that's concerned about, I'm sorry, a neighbor that's concerned about an applicant's project and the privacy that's going to be, that's going to impact them. If, let's just say, it was reversed, right? And 238 had gotten fully developed as presented tonight, and 240 came to the DRB meeting with the exact, house that is currently there with all of those windows and with all of those decks. I have no doubt there would be a privacy, but it would be the opposite direction. It would be like, wait a second, you can't build all those decks. You can't build all these windows facing into our home. And I think that to like require every single window, especially when the neighbor has windows that are looking that way, to have everything transom or whatever, it seems like it's putting an undue burden on an applicant when neighbors are for the exact same type of windows.
I was just specifying one.
Yeah, but I think I'll show the picture I took because it definitely crossed my mind. At risk of showing a picture that ends up getting circulated. I mean,
We're
that's-
going to
that-
need that in the record.
I will
Okay,
happily,
thank you.
happily submit this, but it's, you can see like from the photo, like how many decks there are and how many windows there are facing the other property, right? Like if that application came to us today, like that would be the concern that another neighbor would have. So I guess to not afford the next door neighbor very similar windows and decks, in this case, a very small deck that doesn't seem like it would be used a lot. I don't necessarily have any problem with. I guess also on the height of the ceilings, like 10 feet, if it was a 14-foot ceiling, yeah, let's reel it down to 10 feet or something like that. But it's a 10-foot ceiling. I think trimming a foot here or there, and the positive, what it provides positive to the neighbor, takes away a lot more from the applicant. So, I definitely think the applicant and the architect has done has really listened to the feedback and, dramatically changed things. And then as far as the variances go, can make the findings for both the front setback and the lot coverage, given the lot coverage is really just a function of kind of shifting some of that mass back. So I guess for me, it's kind of almost like supportive as is.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the window seems like a very small window, like right next to a closet. So I don't find a big privacy concern personally on that one.
You would face it. The issue is that you can directly see into that other person's house, the neighbor's house.
onto the deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
And that window, that one window that's right
It's like a
there.
small window. I think that.
Yeah.
What's the expected privacy of a
True.
outdoor deck?
Oh, not the deck. I'm talking about just the transom window.
No, but the concern is looking.
Yeah, you're saying like,
Deck.
I'm not concerned about the deck. It's the window that was more of the concern. So, I mean, it's just a little gesture, right? Making a transom. They already have the beautiful glass, floor to ceiling glass that's looking out into the bay. So this is just a light well to me. But
I think. Yeah, I
I
think
don't
gestures like these, it comes down like, I think it should be our job, like, we should make the findings for, like, can we make the findings for the project? Gestures, which are like really nice to the neighbor, like that should be on the neighbors, right? If they decide that like, hey, like.
Frosted
you
fire,
know,
yeah, or something like that, yeah.
well,
That can be on them, you know?
but the applicant did say in the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes that they'd be open to frosting it or making it into a transom. So
And they can still choose to do that without us conditioning on it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're always able to.
okay. I mean, they made the big gesture that I wanted, right?
Yeah,
last
I mean,
meeting, so.
I think that's where I go is there was a lot that the applicant's already given, and to, try to tweak a little bit here and there. I think the big gesture's already been made.
Yeah.
So it
Mm,
sounds like
motion.
we're looking at potentially, we have a draft resolution, I believe.
Yes, we
Be
do.
looking for
We do.
a motion to approve the draft resolution.
Give me a second.
I move to approve the draft resolution with the two variances that the board can make the findings to approve the two variances. And that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA.
And
Second.
Do we have a second? And all those in favor?
I
Opposed, none, and it unanimously, the draft resolution passes. So with that, we move to make sure there's nothing else on the agenda. We move to adjournment. Thank you, everyone. See you next year.